All right, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Graham Johns.
All right.
I went last night to a very large multi-dealership.
Great.
They were selling Ford, Lincoln Mercury, Ford trucks, and Subaru. I stayed away from the Subaru.
All right, love it.
I went into the Ford dealership, pulled up out front, got out of the car, and it was a big, beautiful Expedition. Next door to that was a nice little Ford Mustang. So
Okay.
I started walking. I walked around the Expedition. I walked around the Mustang and looked in through the front windows, and all the salesmen were lined up in the back, all chattering away to each other. And I thought,
Typical.
okay, this doesn't seem right.
Right.
Walked in the front door of the dealership.
Now, at this point in time, did anybody see you?
Not really sure.
Okay.
They really couldn't have missed me. I was standing right in front of the windows.
Okay.
Walked inside, found the receptionist just inside the front door, and I said, I'm interested in a Ford Taurus. And
Did she greet you out of curiosity?
no, I had to lean over the counter and ask
Wow.
her.
Now, did she make eye contact with you?
When she looked up from her computer screen.
Oh, okay, she was too busy Facebooking or something.
Yeah, probably.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I asked her, you know, is there someone here that can give me some information on a Ford Taurus?
Right.
And she kind of did one of these numbers and looked towards the back, and she said, well, let me see if I have a salesman available. And I turned around and looked, and there was these three guys standing there talking to each other, and I could see somebody else that I hadn't seen before who was in one of the offices.
Right.
And I looked at her and I said, one of those guys?
So you're potentially, at this point, the only customer in the place, do you think?
I'm the only customer in the building, as
Wow.
far as I can tell.
Okay.
So I walked towards the back and interrupted the guys and managed to speak to one of the guys, and he said, can I help you?
Oh, boy.
And I thought to myself, oh boy.
Yeah, because...
I'm interested in some information on a Ford Taurus.
Now, Graham, you took it easy on him because he gave you the open door, and
Well,
yesterday everybody gave me that open door, and I didn't take it so easy, did I?
No, you didn't.
All right.
But,
You're too kind.
I
Keep
thought
going.
to myself, this is going to be great.
Yes.
And I said, well, I'm interested in a Ford Taurus. I'm looking for some information on it. And he said, well, I think they're out front. Ford dealer, I would hope so.
Right.
And he said, well, we can go take a look around and see what we've got. And then finally he got around to introducing himself, and he gave me his business card.
Right.
And
He introduced himself. Did he ask you your name?
no, at that point he hadn't.
Okay. He just told you who he was,
Yeah.
but wasn't really concerned who you were.
Yeah, never introduced the name of the dealership. Fortunately, I knew that because it was
Right.
embroidered on the shirt.
Right. Okay.
So we took a little walk around. We were passed in front of a whole lot of Lincoln Mercury something or others, and walked around to the end of the lot and didn't see any Tauruses anywhere. And he looks at me and he goes, well, let me go back in and check on my computer.
Wow.
Why didn't you do that in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
Save
That would
me
have been
walk
controlling the
outside.
sales process, wouldn't it have?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Right.
So he goes back inside and he says, why don't you have a seat at that table over there? Okay. So I sat down at the table and I'm studying the lines on the Mustang out the window because there was nothing else to do. And he comes up to me. Fortunately, he came back, and he said, we don't have any Tauruses in stock.
Gotta be kidding me.
He says, we've had a lot of problems. Ford fired 6,000 people, so we don't have anybody to build the cars.
Right.
And I thought, tidbit of information. I'm really glad
Well,
that
let's stop there right there for a second, because now we can see the importance of conducting that proper interview, because during that interview, we're asking them things like, are you considering other vehicles? Perhaps new, pre-owned car, van, truck, wagon, SUV.
Yeah.
At that point in time, yeah, we may be in that situation because inventory shortage, which, happens from time to time. So at that point in time, had he conducted a proper interview, got to know what you're currently driving, if you're trading it, and potentially there could be something out there you like just as much as a Taurus, if not better. So he's dead in the water because he hasn't taken the time to do the proper interview.
Well, his next step was, could I interest you in a Focus or a Fusion, or is that too small for your liking?
Right.
Because the Taurus is a larger car. And I said, well, I really like the information on the Taurus, the different levels of build.
But he's done that after he's lost total control of the process.
Oh, yeah, he was treading water by this
Right.
time.
Had he done that in the very beginning, then potentially he would have had more control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did manage to say that they had 3 Tauruses coming in sometime next week. And at that time, that's when he asked me for my name and my phone number and my email address, and wrote it all down in his little book, and happened to mention in passing that, yeah, there's 3 Tauruses coming in next week, but 2 of them are sold.
Okay.
And I said, okay, well, you know, do you have a brochure or something so I could look at the different trim levels and see what that is? And he said, I'll be right back.
So you're having to ask him.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you all the questions.
Let's pause there for a second. Did you meet a manager?
No.
Okay. And at this point in time, if you were dead set on a Taurus and he asked, are you considering any other vehicles? And you said, no, no other vehicles. I want a Ford Taurus. So now this young man knows he's got 3 coming in, 2 are sold. There is his sense of urgency right there. So there's 1 left. Why not take the time to tell you all about that 1 left and maybe mark that one sold with the deposit, had he done his job properly?
That would have been fine, but he didn't have a clue as to what kind it was. He didn't know what color it was,
right.
what the trim level was.
I'm sure somebody there did.
He just knows they got 3 coming in.
Right. So there's a blown sale, because potentially if you've got your mind set up on Ford Taurus and you're going to take one home, then there's 1 left. You could potentially put your name on that one. And that's real world, happens all the time if you run into a sales professional. So what would you have done differently?
I would have been approaching the customer as soon as he got out and started walking around the Expedition or the Mustang in front.
Exactly.
At least introduce myself and the name of the dealership. And, you know, I find out if, you know, is this your first visit to our dealership, or, you know, have you been here recently?
Exactly.
And find out what my interest would be. You know,
exactly.
Are you interested in the Mustang? Are you interested in the Expedition? Or are you interested in something else?
So what was when we had the 5 basic ingredients of the sale, Graham class, what was the very first thing that you're supposed to sell? Yourself.
Yeah.
And by selling yourself, then it doesn't go straight to price. What was the second ingredient in the sale? The dealership. And then the third ingredient?
Product.
Was product. Therefore, at the very bottom of the list is what? Price and the time, right? The urgency. The price and the urgency. So he got that out of order. So you came in with 90% logic, because you logically, I want a Ford Taurus, and he didn't sell himself first, so it stayed 90% logic instead of emotion. Because potentially there could have been maybe a Taurus on the pre-owned lot, maybe at least get you introduced to the vehicle. You can maybe possibly look at it, drive it, and then tell you a little bit more about the one that's incoming, and actually get the brochure, actually go over the equipment, and do a proper interview. Therefore, you're building value and controlling the sale process.
Else too. Oh, we don't have any more Taurus brochures.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, really? And I'm thinking to myself, you're hoping to sell these cars?
Well, at that point in time, he could have definitely jumped on the Ford website, and that's what I would have done. And they've got brochures on the website, or you could take a closer look at it on the Ford website. So,
and what I ended up coming out of there with was a color chip chart, and it's going to be up to me to pick a color and hope I can match it up with the Taurus that I'm probably never going to get from this guy.
So, were you impressed by your visit?
Not at all.
Do you now understand the purpose of why you had you do that homework assignment?
Definitely.
Do you remember I said it would be life-changing and eye-opening?
Eye-opening, yes. Life-changing, I certainly hope so, because if I ended up like that guy...
So with the proper training, you understand that you have job security thanks to sales professionals like that?
I certainly would think so.
Yes. All right, well, let's give Graham a round of applause.